dun, 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 dun. Hey, hey, TV. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, TV.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Hey VTV. I am your host, Valencia Joy, and I am here today with my good friend Monique. I've known Monique for 20 years.
Yes.
We met at Kent State University. As you can see, I'm bringing my Kent State connections. And kindred spirits, basically, from the beginning, same major. Always having fun, always laughing. And I have been so impressed watching you in social media and the movement that you are doing now. Y'all know I love a good women's movement, and Mo is bringing a good one. So welcome, Monique, to the show. Thank you for agreeing to come on. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Yes, what are you up to?
My gosh, what am I not up to? So I recently decided to go full-time in my entrepreneurship. And so I left a really good position at a foundation here in Cleveland, walked away from six figures to be able to do life the way you said. I know, I was like, it was a wrestle. It took me a while, but at the end of the day, I asked myself, if this was my last day, would I be satisfied with the way that I'm living my life? And the answer was no, because I hadn't yet taken a bet on me, and it's been gnawing at me and pulling and tugging at me for a really long time. So I said, hey, now's the time. Now, that was prior to me knowing that there was going to be a pandemic.
Yes.
And so all of that got real interesting. I submitted like 2 months before my last day. I gave them a lot of notice. And so, yeah, that was interesting when a global pandemic, hit. But what I do, I have two companies at this point. There's one that I've been operating for since about 2014. It's a consulting firm called the Engagement Group, where I work with nonprofits or government entities and leaders to create community change. I've been in a community development nonprofit space for over 15 years. I have my master's from Case Western Reserve University, and I'm an adjunct there doing this work. And so I consult. I consult, and I really help create community change through two of my focus areas, which is strategy and engagement. And so I help organizations figure out, really how to create clear steps. One, get clear about what they want to do, and then create those clear steps to getting there and facilitating and supporting them through that process. And also community engagement. I love people building relationships, and I'm a believer in people having autonomy or being a part of the decisions that are made in their day-to-day lives. And so I help our organizations that work with communities. I love a Black community. My focus is really on Black communities. That's where so much disinvestment has taken place. And so how do we authentically connect with them and help them be a part of these decisions, these programs, these initiatives, this development that's happening around them every single day. So that's the engagement group. And Valencia, you said, I didn't think of it as a movement, but I'll take that. I'll receive that. I am launching Monique Inc., which is all about my work with women and girls. And the focus is Black women because I can relate to Black women, the struggles that we have. Most of the people I'm connected to are Black women, and I want to be a part of bringing healing and restoration so we can be the women God has called us to be. So it's a part of my journey, and I just want to lock arms and forces with other women along that way. So
beautiful.
That's what I do.
You said that you needed to take a bet on you. So one of my questions was towards the end was going to be, what do you want to be remembered for? But I feel like that should be right now because you're saying you took a bet on you. It's such a big thing to walk away from, a comfortable job, security, to do something that you feel called and compelled to do. So when it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered for?
Wow. So I'm what you would call a multi-passionate.
Okay.
So that means over my lifetime, with one thing that draws me to entrepreneurship is like I can pretty much create whatever my little mind can come up with. I can create that. I can create a business around it. And so ultimately, one, I am a mother, and I of sons, multiple sons. So we have 4 sons together, and I think the first thing that I want to be remembered by or as is creating excellent Black men
Absolutely.
that are showing up in our world and are confident in who they are. They're rooted in who they are in God. They have all the tools necessary to even do life better than I have.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is really like, I really want to be known for that, which has nothing to do with my businesses except for if I create this life and I teach them that they can do whatever it is that they set their mind to. I'm an example. It becomes more possible when you see other people have done it. And so I really want to do that. And of course, I want to be able to create the lifestyle and the wealth that affords them the access to the resources that they need to make that happen. So that is really, I love my boys with everything in me. And so I definitely want to be known for that. But outside of that, I want to be known as a person who helps people and organizations and our communities. I want to be known for being like the truth whisperer, right? Where somehow, some way, something was changed as a result of being in contact with me, and we now have a new way of how we show up. And so when I say we, it's because whether I'm working with an organization or a leader or community, that they're now thinking differently about how they're approaching their work, and we get to see some real results. That's what I want to be known. Like, if you want real results, call Monique, right? And the same thing is with women. If I can come in contact with you and help you get clearer about who you are, where you are, why you are, and then also who, what, where, and why do you desire to be, and you can stand in that truth and then have a clear understanding of what you need to do to get there, I'm all for that. So really, I'm about change. I'm ultimately about change, and I believe you do that through truth and the honesty of, one, where you are, and then where you want to be, honestly, and then what to do to get there. So I think truth changing and real results.
That's beautiful. Truth whisperer. So what brought you to this point of wanting to specifically help girls and women?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's easy, right? It's my own story, right? They say your testimony often becomes what God uses to heal other people. And as much as I resented that idea, because in one of my lives, I told the story of my life, and I am an overcomer of being sexually abused by my father. And the story is a lot more detailed. And it's, when you really think about what a young child goes through when they go through that, it's so much more than that one statement.
Absolutely.
But when I started working with girls and desired to work with girls, I first wanted to be an alternative to children's services, because I had such a horrible experience, right? Which is, it's not surprising that I went into social work. And because I wanted to become something better than the system that I had to go through. And when I started working with girls, it also was me at 13. Like, what if I would have had a woman come into my life, be there for me, somebody that I felt heard me and saw me and supported me, right? And really hold me accountable to say, like, that's not for you, because nobody asked when they saw the behavior what was wrong. Like, it was just, oh, there she go. Well, she's that way for a reason. And so when I originally started working with girls, which was back in 2004, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be who I wish I had in my life. And I think the same thing sort of evolved when it came down to my work with women. Ultimately, I believe that so many of us as women, especially Black women, inside of us is the little girl that I just described. And she's in the driver's seat, she's making the decisions. She is that emotional part in all of her experiences that have shaped who she is still playing prevalent. Doesn't matter if she's in a role as a director, a boss, a mother, a wife. She is still, it's not that woman who's in control. It's that little girl. And, you know, I became a mother at the age of 21 when we were at Kent. And I started, right. And was, you know, and I was a single mother. And so for me, every step that I take in my life where I am evolving, I'm learning and I'm growing, I want to take that and help the next woman, because I'm not the only one. Every one of us goes through some form of our own thing. And to be able to have the space led by God and how to direct and how to support the women is super important to me. And I mean, man, when I was 6 years old, I was prophesied to that God was going to use me. And yeah, I was trying to be sleep. Okay. When she called me up to the front, I said, Mel, this is what I want to tell her. Mel, missionary Mel, you know, prophetess. I'm trying to take it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been in church with you all. This revival extra long. I grew up Church of God in Christ. So I didn't want to tell you, but said God was going to use me. And, you know, I resented my story for so long. But knowing that each time, right, I'm just a little Black girl from Columbus. Grew up in poverty. My grandma lived in hood. I went to my grandma's house every weekend. Grew up in abuse, but also had a lot of privileges. Great education system. You know, that because I won the lottery, right? We had a school that took kids, that opened up the lottery.
Okay.
So that's how I got into, you know, the best schools in Columbus on a different path from the public schools. But so I had privilege, I've had pain. And you know, my goal is to really, each thing I do, I'm telling someone else that they can't do. And that's what it's about to me. And so, hey, I've been running from it for too long. So I had to eventually just be like, okay, have your way.
Yeah, I know that feeling. So the little girl that is now making the decisions that you are referring to, she's making the decisions from an emotional place, right? So unhealed and immature, right? So how do you speak to that? Because you're still dealing with a grown woman.
Yes.
With pieces of her that are peeking through, that are still very much so immature. So how do you work through that?
So for me, any, and I just had a retreat with some of my close friends in January, and you ask probing questions. Like that's what you do. You don't say like, oh, that's your little girl, right? But some of us want to know that level of truth. Like what is going on with me? Remember who you were and what happened. Like that really shaped where you are today. Like that's not coming from your adult self. But a lot of times we answer things or respond to things or talk about things in a very surface way. And so for me, what I have come to learn that God does for me is, one, is a gift that when I sit in front of somebody, I can see the truth behind their words, or I can feel what they're feeling without them even saying it, right? Like I'm coming to learn, oh, okay, like that's the thing. And so I can ask, you know, and I do a lot of, so help me understand, or so where do you think that comes from? Is there a time or a moment that you can think about this? And how, and I mean, what happens is, as you keep talking and as you keep sort of challenging the surface response, more comes out, and you're able to sort of pinpoint where at least something started, right? Where at least something started. You still there? Okay. Yeah. So that's what I found really helps. Now, sometimes people can't go there.
Yes.
Sometimes I recently had a conversation, and it's like I could sense that it was more than what this person was saying, but yet they wouldn't go. So when I would say, well, it sounds like you may be struggling with X, Y, and Z. No, that ain't my issue, because I feel confident. I've never had to feel it. I'm thinking to myself, if that was your truth, what you're saying you're feeling, you wouldn't be feeling. Or what you said you did, you wouldn't have done. Or what you're doing, you wouldn't be doing. If that's really the truth of how you feel. But you cannot push a person beyond where they want to go. And so in that way, you kind of give just some homework around, do some journaling, answer these specific questions, right?
Yeah.
Or the part that they are willing to open up about, you start there. Okay. Even if you know that it's something more, like it'll get there, but you got to start where that person is at. So that's what I've learned.
So it's all about creating a safe space.
It's all about creating a safe space.
Yeah.
You know, people have to feel that, especially people that are dealing with traumatic things and traumatic experiences, they have to feel like they're not going to be re-traumatized by opening up to you. And that you really have something that's going to offer, because deep down there's some sort of hope. But here's the thing, it's unconscious. Like, people don't know, you know, women, we don't know that the little girl is making the decisions. I can't tell you what number counseling session it took for me to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I see it now. Right? Because I remember when I had started this one counselor, and I was like, I had just got done reading Brene Brown. So I was like, I want to be a wholehearted person. I just want to make sure that I'm wholehearted. And I'm like, that's all I was saying. And so she was like, yeah, so we may want to start from the child within. Like, you may want to deal with the childhood trauma. And I'm like, no, I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track, right? Because that's what we do. We pick up the pieces, we keep it moving. Yep. And even if crash, we create a game plan to come out of it. Yep. That may never touch. Yep. Never touch the actual thing that triggered the breakdown in the first place. We just pull ourselves up and dust ourselves up, create a game plan, and keep it moving. So I was like, no, I don't really want to talk about that. I'm just focused on being wholehearted, because this is what Brene Brown says, and and I didn't go to. I left her because I'm like, she tripping. But then as I kept moving along, I was like, she might have a point, and just a little bit. So I started reading all about the child within, all about the child within. And it made all the sense in the world. It mirrored what I learned in my human development class when I was getting the social worker. It's like, there's different stages of development. And when you don't get certain things within one stage of development, you don't leave it. Okay. You grow in age, right? So when you see the woman, I always say I got 3 versions of myself: the little girl, the teenager that's like Tupac, me against the world, and then I have the grown woman, right? Mm-hmm. And so you find yourself going in between these, because there was something at that stage I didn't get. It's something at the teenage stage that I didn't get. And it's natural human design that you go back, or you revert back to the last phase that you had what you wanted. So when you see the woman cussing somebody out or going off of somebody, that's it. That she's in her teenager mode, her rebellious mode, right? She's not in her, and it's real. It's like human development. It's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's deep. Yes. Okay, so tell me about your virtual workbook. Me today versus me tomorrow.
Yes. And so, my work with women, game plan, knew what I was going to do, because of everything that we're facing in the country. Like, I just decided to take a step back and really get clear, and really learn from women, like, what do we need right now? Like, what do we need? And how can I speak to that directly? But the first product that I ever created for women is called the Me Today versus Me Tomorrow guide. And so I did it as a virtual guide, so I could actually speak through what it is that I was describing instead of just reading it. But the workbook, you can read it and you go along with the actual video that describes a section of it. And this was really inspired by that retreat that I told you about. So we did a current versus future self, and each of us were answer questions that told us, that helped us, because you can't just draw like your current self. Like, you have to reflect. You don't just say, this is who I am today, because it's probably not true. But if you take some time to really break down each different pieces of your life and ask and answer questions about specific pieces of your life, then you get to like, okay, where you really are. And then answer those same questions about where you desire to be. And so we did that, and then we talked to each other. Like, I had us break down in groups to answer those questions, to do what I described earlier, to challenge each other on what we came up with, because your first answer is likely not your answer. If you ever heard before, right. If you want to hear the truth, keep asking yourself why. If you say, okay, Valencia, how you feel about bacon? And then you're like, I love bacon. And I'm like, why? And you're like, because it tastes, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What you might do is the first time that you ever had bacon and the feeling that came over you when you had it, which now helps you understand why you really like bacon. It's not just about the bacon. There might be a memory attached to it. So that's like what we were doing at this retreat. And then we drew it. Because like for me, I'm a visual person.
Yes.
So we drew it, and we talked to each other about like this woman we aspire to be. It's an ongoing journey. We're never where we want to be, where we can be. And so just taking a moment to be like, this is where I want to be in 6 months, a year, 3 years down the road. And so this workbook is really inspired by that, because it was such a great time. We walked away with intentions. We walked away with clarity. But the thing I love about this, because you'll see workbooks that talk to you about where you are and where you want to be. I base this off of what I call the 8 essentials of abundance. And so for me, it's about like, how do we get to the place where we're living an abundant life? And that means abundance in peace, abundance in joy, abundance in purpose, and prosperity, right? That is what I want to see from our Black women, is that we're living life in that way. And so
the me tomorrow, the abundance, that's our goal.
The me tomorrow is your goal. So
which is the abundant life.
Yes. Okay. So, but today, base it off of today. You look at the 8 essentials of abundance, which has to do with your spiritual life. It has to do with your relationships, male, female, female, like just relationships and period. Your career path, right? It looks at your health and your mental and spiritual, emotional well-being. Like there's 8 different areas that you really take the time to dig through. And then you answer those questions again, like, okay, now think forward to your future self. Beautiful. And how do you answer those questions in your future self? What I love is it takes it a step further. What is the gap between your current self and your future self? Because a lot of times you get like, I can't sit in ambiguity. Like I can't sit in this lofty idea that doesn't give me any specifics or roadmap or blueprint about how to get there. So I'm like, okay, so now you know where you are, you know where you desire to be, you've taken some time, but what's the in between? What is it that you're going to do? And then what's the one thing that you either have to let go of, that you have to shift, that you either have to acquire or obtain or start doing, if you want to truly be that abundant woman, which for me, I call it the woman that God designed for you to be. That's what it's all about for me. Like, how do we reclaim his vision, his purpose, his belief when he crafted us? How do we reclaim that? Because life has tried to strip that from us, right? Mm-hmm. But if we get rooted in that and we reclaim his design, that's how we live abundantly, So that's the work.
Beautiful. So growing up, the little girl that's still there, and looking at who I am today versus who I am tomorrow in a safe space requires a lot of honesty.
Yes.
Because you can't heal or overcome the barriers and everything until you're honest. And like you said, there are some people that you just can't get to pull that out of.
Yeah.
What do you do for those women? I know you say you give them homework and whatever, but do you check back with them, or do they come back, or?
So all of this is new. And you know, we a lot of times we start businesses and things that we've already been doing in our lives.
Absolutely.
And so for the one woman that just didn't feel ready to me, I gave the homework. For me, it's about continuing to introduce different things. Like I let her know about the workbook. For me, like introducing and letting them know, but then hopefully through my content and the things that I'm sharing and saying, they're receiving a message. And of course, prayer.
Absolutely.
So you pray for them, and then you pray, and that's what lets you know what you do and when you do it and how you do it is when
Absolutely.
you hear, like, you know. But I want to say, like, to me, the goal with the little girl is not to get rid of her, because that sassy little thing, you know, she was a big part of you growing into that woman, and she has something that she needs, right? And I know I'm talking about like it's not you, but it's a part of you, but it's like you have to treat her. And if you are a mother, you think about how you care for your child.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you have to care and reassure when that thing comes up in you that's in the fear, that's built around the fear and the experience that child had,
Mm-hmm.
or the messages that child said, you know, was given. Because sometimes it's not always about a traumatic experience. It's about there was some message, there was some breakdown along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Just because you're grown does not mean that you don't still need to hear the message that little girl is reacting to, because she's not here. Or, you know, the environment or some sort of care that little girl needs. You got to tend to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you say, little Mo, you don't run this. Like, you can't make this decision for us. I understand, you know, the feeling and all this other stuff, but we're not there. Like, reminding yourself, you're not where you were before, right? You're not still in that place. Telling her, I got you. I'm going to make sure you're good. No need to have a temper tantrum. We're going to, like, what do you need right now? And that's how you, like, really talk to yourself. Like, what do I need right now? How do I not suppress what's coming up for me? How do I lean into what's coming up for me? And then how do I respond to it instead of trying to push through it? Mm-hmm. How do I pause and respond to what's coming up for me and honor what's coming up for me, and then meet the need? Then I can move forward.
Yes.
And I say in a much more productive, healthy, loving, happy way.
Yes. That's beautiful. Yes. Tell me about Make It Happen Mondays.
Make It Happen Mondays. So you want me to tell you where that really came from?
Absolutely.
Okay, truth moments. This whole entrepreneurship, this whole journey, this entrepreneur journey, I have to learn how to do business differently. So I've been in this field in where my consulting business for over 15 years. It's all word of mouth. It's all because I'm connected to this and connected to this and connected to that. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't even a social media person.
Yeah, you were.
No, absolutely not. You know, a little bit there might give you a glimpse, but you know, but yeah. And so, but the reality is, like, my business model is not about just getting contracts. And I know that I wanted to launch the work for women and reach women as far as I could reach women. So that meant that I had to tap into social media, and it just was not working out for me. So my business coach was like, just commit to one thing, at least going live once a week. I was like, okay, I could do that. I could do that. And I was like, I'm gonna call it Make It Happen Mondays. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm gonna do it on Mondays so we can get energized for the rest of the week. And so that's where it came from. Me being like, her saying, just try once a week. And now it's become a whole thing that I have to commit to. And what I've learned is that I love the dialogue.
Yes.
I love when I have somebody on and we're talking about something. I'm not as nervous. I feel excited. I love elevating and lifting them up. So that's what I've decided to turn it into. So you'll see it's evolved. I've talked about engagement. Now since March, it's been all about different topics that help women. And so I'm going to keep on that path. And I got some fun things coming up, so I'm excited about it.
Good. I was a guest on Make It Happen Monday recently, and I had a very good time. It's just like sitting with your girlfriend for your lunch break, you know, talking and laughing and sharing and growing. It was a really good time. So thank you for having me on, and continue to do it.
Yes, and thank you for agreeing. And that's another thing you brought up about the lunch break. Like, oh my God, when I was on my job, I didn't stop. It was like constant. So I was like, I want to give people a reason to just pause, like pause. That's why I say take a moment out of our busy lives. And I used to go on maybe even 10 minutes, if that. But take a moment to connect.
Yeah.
Take a moment to inspire. Take a moment to be motivated. Like, that's your moment.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
If you can't take a moment for Make It Happen Mondays, rethink your situation. You should be able to take at least 30 minutes of a lunch break.
I agree. I agree. How do you self-care?
So I was on a ball for a minute, okay? I started doing puzzles.
Yes.
I was frustrated with the things at first, but a friend of mine taught me a strategy, and I was like, ooh, and it helps me.
You do the outside first?
Yeah, but no, even bigger than that. She says to categorize it by color.
Yeah.
So the first was put all your pieces, in the different colors. Because I started off with such an ambitious puzzle. I don't know what was on my mind. It was like 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
All these butterflies, a lion in the middle, because I'm a Leo and I love butterflies. So I started doing puzzles. I also am like a closet artist. So I started doing, I'm a closet artist. And so I started doing little sketches or coloring and that sort of thing. Reminds me of, it satisfies the little girl within, because when life is just simple and you sit with your color book or your Lisa Frank stickers and you have at it. And so that was what I was doing as well. Started to read more. I do that. But really, I created a list of like 50 things. And my goal, because I have to recommit to my self-care because my workload has gotten super heavy. My goal is to create blocks of time that are just for me. And then I can plug and play from those 50 things that I enjoy doing that satisfy my soul. So that's what I'm recommitting to.
That's a good idea. Can you sing?
Can I sing?
Uh-huh.
You got to ask my friends. I think I sound good. But, I have a couple of people that
they
hate on me. But I know that sometimes I really hit those notes. And my son, Caleb, approved. I do sing a lot, though. I sing all the time.
What is your favorite genre of music?
I don't have a favorite genre. I don't have it just depends on what tickles my fancy. Like, he introduced me to a song, Feeling Good, like I would. I never heard that song and don't listen to that genre or that group. But when I heard that song, I said, hey. And then my son introduced me to Lil Baby, that the new song about it's not about black and white, I do the Savage. Love my gospel.
Yeah.
Love my old school R&B. I was singing Betty Witcher. Isn't that her name? Betty Witcher for a while. You know her?
Betty Richards?
Betty Witcher. She sang the song, Gonna Make Me Your Woman.
Oh.
You know that?
Did she just die or something?
Yeah, somebody told me that. So watch her unsung, but it came on when I was listening to the Angie Stone station. And it came on, and so I just started grooving to it. So it jazzed. instrumental, smooth jazz to calm me down. I mean, I like anything that,
Speaks to your
I don't
soul.
like rock and punk music though. Don't
Okay.
like that at all.
Okay. Favorite food?
I don't have a favorite. It used to be mac and cheese. It used to be mac and cheese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you cook?
Yeah. I do cook out of requirement.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you.
No, that's how I like when I'm like trying to do dish or something like that. But I do cook. I have my greens brewing now.
I'm gonna stop by for my bowl.
Okay. Let me tell you how they taste first.
How important are friendships?
Everything. Everything. Man. I would not be who I am today if it weren't for the women in my life.
Yeah.
That still keep me grounded.
Yeah.
The unconditional love,
Yeah.
the unconditional love and support is everything. Like I tell people this story whenever I get a chance of when I had my son in college. I'm a sorority girl, so my line sister, I took him to daycare. I cried on my way out of there. I went to pick him up and he turned to me and his little lip was quivering and he cried. And I packed up that whole big old bin that I took there. I'm that kind of extra mom and said, you will not have to come back. She changed her schedule to evening classes so she could watch him while I went to my class during the day. I might not even be a college graduate if it wasn't, because my family is in Columbus. So I might not even be a college graduate if it wasn't for me calling on those women, you know, her doing that and them just really wrapping their arms around me and supporting me through pregnancy and after I had them. And it's been that way over the entire 18 years.
That story is beautiful.
Yeah, that was Brittany. Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Will never forget it.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
You need a good girlfriend.
It's everything. I said that too. This life is nothing, and I've had to remind myself because I work and work and work and work for my family because there's just so much. You know, they will be put to side, or I don't have time to talk, or whatever. And I've had to check myself a lot. Check myself, and it was at a retreat where I had to rate my friendships, and it was at a 2 because I wasn't spending time. Yeah, I wasn't spending time. I wasn't, and so I was like, I have to do better because they're everything. And I come out of it after that time I spent.
I'm sorry. This pandemic, I think, has also shown us all how important friendship and relationship is because especially when we were deep into quarantine and couldn't really do anything, leave the house, that really showed you how important other people are. You know, you can't do this alone. You cannot do this alone. Thank God for good sister girlfriends.
Yes, yes.
Any parting words, and also where can they find you for Make It Happen Mondays and Monique Inc. and whatever else?
So what I want women to know is that it's so important to take the time to learn your truth. And the reason why, and I want to say that your truth is only going to be what you know to be true at that moment. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You learning your truth of how you've made decisions, why you've made decisions, what you choosing to make future decisions and being clear about all of that got you to where you are today is super important. In 100% honesty, I have spent the majority of my life trying to fill a void that I didn't even know that I was trying to feel. But I didn't take the time to learn, stand in, and honor my truth. And if I have done that, even though I will not complain about where I am in my life and all the things that I have done, seen, achieved, and experienced, I could have avoided a lot of pitfalls, a lot of heartache of myself and those around me, if I would have taken the time to just pause and get clear about what had shaped me, what I wanted to take forward, and what I wanted to let go of and say, you have no place here.
Yeah.
And
no
so
place
I
of
want
power.
Yes, right. And so I want to encourage women, don't be afraid of it. Like, no, it doesn't feel good, but it also doesn't feel good to keep making decisions without knowing it. Or if you're filling a void or living a lie because it's a message that's a lie, that's not the truth of who you are and what God has for you. So please take the time, make the time to really get in touch with who you are and learn your truth for the moment. For the moment, knowing that you'll learn more and your truth will be different or you'll get more insight. But just take the time to continue to constantly connect with yourself, because as these things are happening, you can bounce it off of your truth. You can make decisions off of your truth and not just your knee-jerk reaction or your survival mode. Hello, survival. Let's get out of survival mode. The first step to that is owning your truth. So that is what I want to encourage women. And in regards to where you can find me, my website is Monique Williams Inc. Inc.com. Monique Williams Inc. Inc.com. So that is my website. You'll find more about my consulting business. You'll find some work about women, but you'll find less of that on the website because we are in the process of building that and making sure that we resonate and provide you with what you need. And so you can find me on Instagram at Monique Inc., which is again INC, and I'm on Facebook at Monique Williams Kelly. And of course, on Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Make It Happen days. So you can always find me there. And I really, really hope that you do reach out to connect with me.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. I appreciate what you're doing for women and for girls, and I support you in any way. And congratulations on accepting your calling.
Oh, goodness. That's a way to end it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye, guys. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to Hey TV.